What if everything you thought Marvel was building towards in the Multiverse saga was just a red herring? What if Incursion, the central ticking time bomb teased in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, has already been pushed aside? And what if the real threat isn't just Kang, but something way deeper? Something that threatens the very idea of choice itself. That's where we are right now. Marvel hasn't even built the proper base for the Multiverse saga yet. And now, after Fantastic Four first steps, it feels like Marvel is ditching the very foundation it laid for Incursion altogether. So what the hell is happening? Well, I think we figured it out. This is no longer just Kang's game. We're headed toward a three-way existential war. Doom versus Kang versus Loki. A battle for survival. A battle for timelines. But most importantly, a battle for free will. Here's the thing. Doom doesn't play the same game everyone else does. Kang wants control. Loki wants freedom. But Doom wants something permanent. A world that never breaks again. And to do that, he's not afraid to watch everything fall apart first. While Marvel fans have been focused on Kang's variants and time branches, Doom's been operating in the shadows. Planning, building, waiting. And now, everything's aligning. But before we break down Doom's plan, we need to talk about the massive narrative problem Marvel has created. Let's rewind to where this all started. Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness, introduced us to a concept that immediately raised the stakes. Incursion. For longtime Marvel comic fans, this word wasn't new. In New Avengers, time runs out, and Jonathan Hickman's legendary Secret Wars run, Incursion was the force that slowly erased reality. Universes collapsing into each other. Worlds literally stacked on top of one another, and if they touched, boom, both destroyed. The only options were destroy one to save the other, or let both die. That's massive, right? In the MCU, it started promising. Earth 838's Reed Richards explains it cleanly. When Doctor Strange travels to another universe, he breaks down the barriers. The multiverse becomes unstable. Boundaries crack. And when that happens enough, a full incursion begins. That's what was supposed to be coming. The slow breakdown of the walls between worlds. In the Marvels, the post-credit scene took it further. Monica Rambeau ends up in a world where the X-Men exist. Another breach. Another sign that reality is on the verge of collapsing. The setup was there. But then, silence. Nothing about Incursion was mentioned in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Nothing about incursions in Loki Season 2. And now, with Fantastic Four First Steps, which we thought would be the story to bring Incursion front and center, we got absolutely nothing. No mid-credit tease. No warning signs. No mention of the multiverse collapsing. Instead, we find out the movie takes place on an alternate Earth, Earth 828. And that's it. Which is wild. Because this was the perfect opportunity to explain how Earth 828's Fantastic Four eventually connect with Earth 616. Maybe an incursion is how they meet. Maybe the collapsing multiverse is what brings the heroes together. But nope. So it really looks like Marvel is scrapping the entire incursion arc. That's a huge shift. And what we're getting instead? A new kind of multiverse threat. One that's less about physics and more about philosophy. The collapse of the multiverse, not because of broken boundaries, but because of free will. That's the pivot. And believe it or not, it all goes back to Loki. When Loki Season 1 dropped, it didn't feel like a central pillar of the multiverse saga. But now, it's the foundation. The entire concept of free will was introduced in those first few episodes. The TVA was pruning timelines, removing anyone who stepped outside the sacred timeline. Everything had to be exactly as He Who Remains wanted. No choices, no deviations, just one path forward. The moment someone did something they weren't supposed to, bam, they were erased. That's what happened to Sylvie. That's what happened to so many variants. And that's what launched Loki's entire journey. Sylvie didn't just want revenge, she wanted freedom. When she killed He Who Remains at the end of Season 1, she believed she was freeing the timeline. But that act shattered the stability that He Who Remains had built. All those branching realities started to spin out of control, which led to Loki Season 2. Now we're dealing with the Temporal Loom, a structure built to manage one sacred timeline, but now it's being overloaded by infinite branching ones. Loki gets time-slipping powers, jumps across realities, and sees firsthand what's happening. The multiverse is literally cracking under the weight of free will. Everyone wants to choose their own path, but the machine built to handle one path can't handle thousands. And again, Loki faces a choice. He can go back to a sacred timeline, prune everything, remove free will, or he can let the timelines grow, even if it means everything might collapse. And he chooses free will. He becomes the god of stories. He takes the shattered branches and weaves them into a tree. But here's the problem. It's a temporary fix. The TVA is barely holding things together. Kang variants are still out there. Multiversal war is still looming. Free will has been restored, but the cost of that freedom? Chaos. This is where Doom comes in, and his logic is terrifying. While the TVA is scrambling to patch up holes and prune Kang variants, Doom is watching. And he's not interested in patchwork. He wants to accelerate the collapse. Because to Doom, this isn't a disaster, it's an opportunity. In Fantastic Four First Steps, we get a chilling mid-credit scene where Doom meets Franklin Richards. This is the moment everything clicks. Franklin is a nexus of cosmic potential. He has the power cosmic. And he's the son of Reed Richards. Which matters, because Kang, aka Nathaniel Richards, is a descendant of Reed. That means Franklin is deeply tied to Kang's very existence. So Doom sees a path. If he captures Franklin across the multiverse, multiple versions of him, he can absorb enough cosmic power to change the entire course of Kang's lineage. And with the power cosmic absorbed from multiple Franklins, Doom isn't just powerful, he's godlike. With that power, he doesn't want to stop the collapse. He wants to complete it. He wants to destroy the multiverse entirely. Because in that destruction, Doom sees a way to create something new, something perfect, something he controls. He travels across realities, meets Doctor Strange. Not our Earth, 616 Strange, but a Strange who's dived so deep into the Darkhold that his moral compass is barely hanging on. Together, they approach Loki. Because Loki, as the god of stories, holds the key to the new timeline structure. And Doom lays it all out. Let the multiverse burn. Let the Kangs kill each other. Let the unstable branches collapse. From the ashes, they'll build a new world. A single world. One with free will, but controlled free will. A world where people believe they have choice, but where Doom makes sure those choices never lead to collapse again. This is where it gets philosophical. Doom isn't like He Who Remains. That guy erased all deviation. He forced a sacred timeline. Doom is different. He believes in choice, but only the kind of choice that doesn't threaten the system. He believes in order, not freedom. And to do that, he must burn everything down first. That world he's building? It's called Battle World. In the comics, Battle World was created from the shattered remains of dying universes. Pieces of realities stitched together under Doom's control. And that's what Marvel is hinting at now. The multiverse collapses. Kangs destroy each other. The TVA fails. Doom steps in and uses Franklin's power, Strange's knowledge, and Loki's tree of timelines to create Battle World. No more incursions. No more Kang variants. No more TVA. Just one unified domain under Doom's rule. And here's the terrifying part. To the average person, it might feel like paradise. No chaos. No threat of multiversal war. Just peace. But it's peace under a lie. Because even if Doom allows free will, he controls the limits of that freedom. You can choose your path, but only within the narrow world he designed. Step too far out of line and you're erased, which is exactly what he accuses He Who Remains of doing. The irony is brutal. Doom hates the TV, but in trying to create his own perfect system, he's becoming the very thing he despised. And this is where the real conflict ignites, because the Avengers, especially Reed Richards, won't stand for it. Doom didn't just absorb power, he stole Franklin, kidnapped the child of two of Earth's greatest heroes. Reed and Sue aren't just going to sit back and let that happen. They're going to fight. And they won't be alone. Thor, Sam Wilson, Captain Marvel, Monica, Wong, America Chavez. They'll all rise, not just to stop Doom, but to restore the multiverse, to bring back true free will, not the illusion of it. But here's the tragic twist. Loki might not be on their side, because Loki knows what happened when free will was unleashed. He saw the timelines spin out of control. He knows what it cost. And he might believe Doom is right, that some kind of order is necessary. That battle world, as fake as it is, might be better than total destruction. Same with Doctor Strange. In the comics, Strange stood by Doom's side during Secret Wars. Not because he believed in Doom, but because he believed someone had to survive. Someone had to rebuild. So the question becomes, which side will they choose? Doom versus Kang versus Loki. But it's not just a battle of powers. It's not even about timelines anymore. It's a war of ideologies, total control, complete freedom, or something in between. And in the middle of all this, the Avengers, trying to do what they always do, save everyone, even if it means tearing down everything that was built. Marvel's Multiverse Saga is no longer about incursions. It's about the consequences of choice. It's about what happens when everyone wants their own story, but the universe can't handle that many stories at once. And Doom? Doom doesn't want stories. He wants a single narrative, one that he controls from start to finish. This is what sets up Avengers Doomsday. Not just a crossover, not just a war, a clash of cosmic ideologies. And if Marvel pulls this off, it might be bigger than Endgame. Because this time, it's not just about saving one universe, it's about deciding what kind of reality we deserve to live in. Now here's where things start getting uncomfortable in the best way. Because if Doom is the one who ends up building Battleworld, then that means everything leading up to Secret Wars isn't about preventing catastrophe anymore. It's about who gets to shape what comes after the catastrophe. And that's a massive shift in the way Marvel tells stories. Up until now, every major event in the MCU has been about stopping something bad from happening. Thanos, Ultron, Hydra, the Sokovia Accords. But what we're seeing now, it's different. Marvel is essentially saying, what happens when the bad thing already happened? What do we build in its place? And Doom's answer is chillingly simple. He wants to build a world where choice doesn't lead to destruction, where outcomes are predictable and pain is minimized. But to do that, he'll manipulate the very idea of freedom. That's the paradox. Doom isn't trying to eliminate free will, he's trying to rewrite it into something he can regulate. Which sounds insane until you realize that in the MCU, free will itself might be the root cause of the multiverse's collapse. Think about it. Every time someone makes a unique choice, a true act of independence, they create a branch. Multiply that by billions, and the multiverse expands faster than it can sustain. What Loki saw in Season 2 was that even a noble choice, choosing to preserve freedom, can have consequences. The Temporal Loom was never built to handle an infinite array of outcomes. It was designed for one timeline, one path. So when everyone starts choosing their own paths, the system overloads. And even though Loki sacrifices everything to hold it all together, the cracks are still showing. And that's what Doom is counting on. He doesn't have to win a war. He just has to wait for everything to fall apart on its own. But don't think for a second that Kang is out of this. Doom might be trying to steal Kang's throne, but Kang, especially the Council of Kangs, isn't going quietly. If Doom's plan is to collapse the multiverse and build Battleworld, Kang's plan is to conquer the multiverse before it collapses. That's the key difference. Kang believes in control through domination. He wants to own every timeline, every variant, every possibility. The Council exists because Kang couldn't stop himself. Every Kang wanted to be the prime Kang. So they made a truce, a fragile one. But now, with the TVA pruning Kang variants and the multiverse in chaos, that truce is shattered. So what's Kangs Counterplay? Well, in Quantumania, we saw one version of Kang already try to escape the quantum realm to rebuild the multiverse in his image. He failed, but others won't. The Council of Kangs will now launch a multiversal invasion, trying to preserve their own dominion. Not because they care about stability, but because they want to decide who gets to rule what's left. In many ways, Kang is the pure embodiment of control without morality. He doesn't care about what kind of world gets rebuilt, he just wants to be the one on top when it happens. And ironically, that makes Kang the perfect enemy for Doom. Because while Kang rules for the sake of power, Doom wants to rule for the sake of order. He believes there's a deeper purpose behind his actions. He sees himself as the only one capable of building something that won't collapse again. So when these two collide, when the multiverse is burning and only one world remains, what we'll see isn't just a fight between villains. It's a fight between ideologies. Chaos versus control. Conquest versus curation. And then there's Loki. Now this is where things get seriously complicated. Because Loki, our Loki, the one we followed from 2012 to now, isn't just another player in this war. He's become something far more important. He's no longer the god of mischief. He's the god of stories. That means he holds the threads of the multiverse itself. Every branching path, every possible timeline, they're all part of the tree he maintains. That makes him more than just a character. It makes him the backbone of reality. And that kind of power comes with impossible choices. Loki is torn between what he wants and what he knows must be done. On one hand, he fought for free will. He sacrificed everything to let people choose their paths. But on the other hand, he sees the cost of that freedom. He knows that every choice creates instability. Every deviation puts more pressure on the temporal loom, pressure it was never designed to withstand. And when Doom comes to him with a proposal not to erase free will, but to reshape it, Loki has to consider it. Because if the only alternative is watching the multiverse implode, maybe some compromise is worth it. And this is what makes Loki the wild card. Unlike Kang and Doom, Loki isn't trying to rule. He's trying to protect. Not just people, but stories, narratives, identity. He understands better than anyone that people are defined by their choices, by the paths they take. So even if those paths lead to destruction, taking away choice is a betrayal of everything he's become. That's what makes his potential alliance with Doom so tragic. He doesn't agree with Doom, but he might believe Doom is the only one with a plan. Because here's the thing, the TVA has no plan. The TVA is barely holding the walls together. They're reacting, not acting. They're pruning Kang variants, yes, but they don't know what to do next. Mobius is lost, Sylvie is disillusioned, and OB can't fix a system that's already broken. So Loki becomes the TVA's final hope. But even he knows that hope isn't enough. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange might be the only one with enough awareness to see all sides of the conflict. After the events of Multiverse of Madness, Strange knows what unchecked power looks like. He's seen what happens when you tamper with the Darkhold. But more importantly, he understands that the multiverse is a layered, fragile ecosystem. One ripple becomes a tidal wave. One spell can break the fabric of reality. So when Doom offers a chance to rebuild that fabric, to rethread the loom in a way, Strange is tempted. Not because he trusts Doom, but because he fears the alternative even more. And if we follow the comic trajectory, Strange does side with Doom. Not forever, but long enough to help him build Battleworld. Because he believes someone needs to survive. Someone needs to record what was lost. And when the time comes, someone will need to undo what Doom has built. Which brings us to the true emotional core of this upcoming saga, the Resistance. The Avengers, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Peter Parker, Sam Wilson, Shuri, Kate Bishop. All these characters will look around and see a broken multiverse, a battleworld patched together from destroyed timelines. And they'll have to ask themselves, is this really the future we want? Because in Battleworld, everything might look fine on the surface. But underneath, people know something's wrong. They know their choices don't matter, that their stories have been rewritten, that memories have been altered, that their lives aren't truly theirs. And that spark of rebellion, that refusal to accept a curated life, is what ignites the final battle. That's when the Avengers rise. They're not just fighting Doom. They're fighting the idea that the ends justify the means. That a stable world built on lies is better than a chaotic world built on truth. That's the conflict. That's what separates heroes from gods. Doom believes he's saving reality. The Avengers believe that reality is only worth saving if people get to shape it themselves. And this is where Secret Wars delivers its emotional punch. Because when the Avengers confront Doom, they're not just trying to destroy Battleworld. They're trying to resurrect everything that was lost. Every timeline, every story, every possibility. They want the multiverse back. But they want it to be real this time, not manufactured, not filtered, not controlled. And who leads that charge? Reed Richards. Because Doom didn't just steal Franklin's power, he stole his future. Reed's fight isn't just cosmic. It's personal. He's not trying to win a war. He's trying to get his son back. And that's what gives him the strength to do what Doom never could. Let go. Let people make their own choices. Let the multiverse live, even if it means facing chaos again. That's the turning point. The battle won't be won by power. It won't be won by technology or spells or timeline manipulation. It will be won by sacrifice, by the willingness to risk everything for the freedom of others. And that's what separates Doom from the Avengers. Doom believes people can't be trusted. The Avengers believe people deserve to try. So when the dust settles, when Battleworld crumbles and the multiverse begins to reform, it won't be because someone rewrote the rules. It'll be because someone chose not to. That's the future Marvel is setting up. Not a universe built by gods, but one rebuilt by heroes. And here's the kicker. Even after the multiverse is saved, even after Battleworld is gone, the question of free will won't go away. Because now everyone knows what it costs. Everyone knows what it means to have choice and what it means to lose it. That awareness becomes part of the DNA of the MCU moving forward. Characters won't just fight villains anymore. They'll fight systems, beliefs, philosophies. And that's where Marvel can evolve beyond just superhero movies, into something bigger, something more human. Because in the end, this isn't just about Doom or Kang or Loki. It's about us, about the stories we tell, the choices we make, and what it means to be free. So what do you think? Is Marvel really ditching the Incursion path? Is Doom's vision of Battleworld more terrifying than Kang's multiversal empire? Would you sacrifice free will to save the multiverse? Or do you believe, like the Avengers, that even in chaos, people deserve the right to choose? Because the next phase of Marvel isn't just about epic battles and variant cameos. It's about answering a question we've been asking for centuries. Are we truly free? And if we are, what will we do with that freedom? That question, what do we do with our freedom, isn't just the central theme of the Multiverse saga. It's the one thing every single Marvel character will eventually have to face, especially as the multiverse is reshaped, rewritten, and redefined. And that's why this entire saga is shaping up to be more than just another crossover event. It's not just about throwing dozens of characters into one explosive movie. It's about how they each confront the consequences of power, destiny, and the paths they didn't choose. Let's zoom back out and take one last clear-eyed look at the battlefield ahead. On one side, we have Kang, a fractured identity, not a single villain, but a storm of possibilities. Kang represents what happens when someone refuses to let go of control. Each variant is a reaction to chaos, a version of himself that believes he alone has the right to reshape time. But because they all think that, the Council of Kangs is doomed to fail. It's ironic. Kang tries to unify time, but can't even unify himself. He's the villain of infinite ambition, endlessly caught in a feedback loop of domination. On another side, we have Doom, a singular vision, one man, one ego, one unwavering belief that the multiverse needs a savior, and that savior must be him. But Doom doesn't want power for its own sake. He wants power because he thinks he's the only one capable of using it correctly. He believes that his pain, his loss, his journey has forged him into something better than humanity. And so he gives himself the right to dictate reality, not because he hates people, but because he doesn't trust them. Doom sees freedom as a luxury most can't handle. And so he rewrites freedom into something manageable, something calculated. And finally, we have Loki, a being who started as a trickster and evolved into a guardian. He represents the imperfect, flawed potential of every being who ever wanted more than what they were told they could have. His entire life has been about breaking destiny, about proving he wasn't just the villain in someone else's story. And now, as the god of stories, Loki understands better than anyone what it means to have a choice and what it means to take it away. His journey is the most relatable, the most grounded, because it's not about ruling or conquering. It's about becoming. And in that process, he carries the weight of everyone else's stories. That trio, Kang, Doom, Loki, doesn't just set the stage for Avengers Secret Wars. It creates the most ideologically driven climax Marvel has ever attempted. And what makes it so compelling is that no one is entirely right or wrong. Kang is a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition. Doom is the terrifying embodiment of what happens when intellect becomes tyranny. And Loki is the paradox, the god who finally learns humility and earns responsibility. So how do the heroes fit into this? They're not just reacting to the battle. They're redefining what heroism even means in this new world. Because when universes are being erased, when timelines are snapping out of existence, when memories are rewritten, being a hero isn't just about saving people from explosions or portals. It's about choosing to fight for truth when truth itself is being rewritten. It's about saying, even if the world burns down, I'll help rebuild it the right way. Take Peter Parker, a character who literally had his identity erased to protect the multiverse. A hero who chose to be forgotten by everyone he loved so others could be safe. When Peter shows up in this war, whether it's Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or all three, his role won't just be emotional. It'll be symbolic. Because Peter is the embodiment of responsibility, of sacrifice, of the idea that doing the right thing often means doing the hardest thing. Or look at Reed Richards, a scientist who's always tried to outthink danger, who's always believed that knowledge can solve everything. But now he's confronting the most painful truth of all, that sometimes intellect isn't enough, that sometimes you have to choose between what's smart and what's right. Reed's arc will be deeply emotional. His son, was taken, his legacy manipulated. And now, he has to go up against Doom, someone who, in the comics, was once his friend and always his greatest rival. Their confrontation won't be about science. It'll be about ideals, about the kind of world each of them believes should exist. Then there's Wanda, Scarlet Witch, a character who already rewrote reality once out of grief. She's been on both sides, hero and villain, protector and destroyer. If she returns, and let's be real, Marvel's not done with her, she could be the key to tilting the balance. Because Wanda understands what it means to lose control, what it means to reshape reality for personal reasons. And if she joins this fight, she won't just be another powerhouse. She'll be a mirror to Doom himself, a reminder of what happens when emotion overrides ethics. And don't forget characters like America Chavez, a multiverse traveler whose powers make her both a target and a solution. Or Monica Rambeau, now stranded in a different universe entirely. Or Shuri, carrying the legacy of Wakanda into a conflict that spans every reality. These characters bring fresh perspectives. They don't come from the original Avengers mold. They represent the future, the next generation of heroes who must choose not just how to fight, but why to fight. Because this isn't Endgame 2. This isn't about time heists or infinity stones. This is about belief, philosophy, the fundamental rules of existence. Marvel is asking its characters and its audience to consider something deeper. If you had the power to rebuild everything, what kind of world would you create? Would you create one like Kang's, where everything is controlled because fear drives you? Would you build one like Doom's, where everything is orderly because you think you know best? Or would you risk chaos to let people decide for themselves? That's the question Secret Wars must answer. And here's where it all comes together. Battleworld doesn't last. We know that. It's inherently unstable, built on destruction, held together by fear and force. Eventually, heroes find a way to tear it down. Maybe it's Reed who reclaims his son and breaks Doom's power. Maybe it's Loki who finally lets go and gives the multiverse back to its people. Maybe it's a group effort, with Wanda, Strange, and Chavez stitching the multiverse back together one thread at a time. But the aftermath is just as important. What happens after Secret Wars? Does the multiverse remain open? Do we return to a single timeline? Does the TVA evolve into something better? Something that watches but never interferes? Or do we see a new generation of watchers like Watu rise to keep the balance? Marvel has the chance to do something no cinematic universe has done before. Reboot without starting over. Instead of erasing everything, they can integrate everything. The X-Men can be part of the MCU now because their universe collided with ours. Deadpool can exist because his timeline survived Battleworld. Variants can be real people, not just alternate versions. And we, the audience, get to experience a universe where history is preserved and possibility is infinite. And this is why Doom, Kang, and Loki matter so much. Because they're not just the final bosses of the saga. They're the last gatekeepers of reality. Kang represents the past, a tyrant trying to preserve his legacy. Doom represents the future, a would-be god trying to perfect it. And Loki represents the present, the imperfect human struggle to do the right thing when everything is on the line. In the end, Loki might be the one who sacrifices again, who says, let them choose. And by doing that, he fulfills the arc that began in Loki Season 1. He becomes the guardian of freedom, not by controlling stories, but by letting them unfold. That would be a poetic, powerful end. And it would open the door for something even bigger. The true integration of Marvel's cosmic, mystical, and multiversal threads. Because when this saga ends, the MCU won't be a single line anymore. It'll be a web, a living, breathing, ever-changing tree of stories. Some will be lighthearted, others dark. Some tragic, others victorious. But all of them will matter. because all of them will be chosen. So where does Marvel go after this? That's the beauty of it. Anywhere. With the multiverse open, they can tell any story, bring in any character, explore any genre, from grounded street-level heroes to gods in space, from mutants rising in a post-battle world to cosmic forces awakening in a new hierarchy. Marvel isn't just telling superhero stories anymore. They're telling mythology. And just like in ancient myths, the gods fall, the heroes rise, the world ends and begins again. We've gone from origin stories to existential battles, from I am Iron Man to what kind of world do you want to live in? And that's the evolution that makes this next chapter so exciting. So if you've been wondering why Marvel hasn't fully explained Incursions, if you've been confused by the silence surrounding Kang Dynasty, if you're frustrated by the slow build-up to Secret Wars, this is your answer. Marvel didn't abandon the plan. They evolved it. From multiversal collisions to ideological war, from saving timelines to deciding which ones deserve to exist. This is no longer about fixing the multiverse. It's about defining it. And every character, hero, villain, and everything in between has a role to play. Doom will offer control. Kang will demand obedience. Loki will protect choice. And the Avengers will remind the universe that the greatest power isn't cosmic energy or time travel. It's the willingness to stand up and say, we choose freedom, no matter the cost.